Hi, everybody. I think we're in a really exciting part of the book, the Transforming Suffering into Wisdom. We're in the part that is really at the heart, the passionate heart of the book, which is addressing this issue of suffering, how it arises inside of us, and learning to be really present with it, and at the same time at ease with it. Takes work to do, but it's something that just breaks apart that we're analytically, and that with diligence and practice, it becomes something that is sustainable inside of us, that's built into us, and moreover, something that we continue, I'll say, over years, we continue to learn from as we grow older and encounter again and again these feelings that are difficult, as we're feeling now in the current crisis of economics and health that we have all over the world. So the chapter that I'm reading from is called Working with Suffering. And it's beginning to go down into the details. And I'm excited about this area because we're gonna, each chapter is succinct, and I think you can act on, and yet there's going to be a deepening and a developing as we go through the book. So simply working with suffering. I can get as stuck in suffering as anyone. But the moment that I recognize I'm stuck, that I'm not working well, I get positively excited because I know I have a technique that will bring me to the end of suffering and to a transformation of its structure into something profound and meaningful. The technique is to let thoughts go, let feelings be. It means that I must be willing to genuinely feel whatever is happening, to come inside the body and feel humiliated, for instance, rather than quickly covering it over with rage at myself or at others. I have learned from this process that to feel my humiliation rather than to cover it over deepens my humility. To feel my anger rather than act on it increases my dignity. To feel my fear rather than run from it strengthens my courage and renews my vitality. To feel my depression rather than to buy into its layers of judgment releases me through all the suffering of living creatures into the transient nature of life itself and into the clarity of present moments arising and the sorrow of their passing away. Through this practice, I learned to both be in feelings and be at peace at the same time. If I don't do this process, I find myself locked into my habitual neurotic responses, what in the East they call karma. It is right in these places that we must wake up, or we dig the grooves of our habits deeper and we suffer endlessly. So I encourage you to keep extending your range, to feel all the different degrees and the different kinds of feelings you encounter. If you find yourself in a conflict, notice where in the room there is suffering. If you feel it inside yourself, immediately enter your practice. Become fearless and forgiving of your own suffering first. Over time, as you deepen your practice, you may feel the suffering inside yourself just for a moment. You will then see instead that the one who has caused you harm is the only one suffering. And you will be ready for the outer path of virtue, which we will consider further in part 2. So I can't say enough how incredible this practice is. Just to be able no longer to fall into and be subject to habitual suffering with our mind and our emotions all hooked together, but instead to be able to see it clearly, break it apart between the thoughts and the feelings, to feel the feelings, and in that feeling, find a way to transformation. We've talked before about how challenging feeling those feelings can be, and we'll deepen that. There's more to it. And know that if that's a challenge for you, just simply learning to be more fierce and direct and consistent and resilient around letting the thoughts go does practically everything. So, looking forward to our next time together on in the next chapter. Thanks for listening today.